After the United States entered the Spanish-American War in 1898, the word anti-imperialist was mentioned. The Anti-Imperialist League was established on June 15, 1898 in Boston. George S. Boutwell, first president of the Anti-Imperialist League, has the goal to fight U.S. annexation of the Philippines. They believe that imperialism violated the credo of republicanism, especially the need for consent of the governed. According to Fred Harrington, they did not oppose because of commercial, religious, constitutional, or humanitarian reasons, but they thought the expansion of imperialist policy ran against the political doctrines of the Declaration of Independence, Washington's Farewell Address, and also Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Even Karl Marx considered imperialism as the part of prehistory of the capitalist mode of production. But Lenin thought of imperialism as the highest stage of capitalism, in the sense that monopoly financed capital became dominant and forced nations or corporations to compete in order to control over resources and markets around the world. His theory of imperialism has been adopted by Marxists. Later, there are related theories such as dependency theory that focus on economy rather than military or political terms. So, imperialism is not necessarily in the direct control of one country, but in the economic exploitation of one region by another. In 1902, John Hobson was the critic of imperialism. He was an English economist who wrote Critics of the Economy, which was the basis of imperialism. This book was about the politics economics discourse, or the negative financial, economy, and moral aspects of imperialism. He said that capitalist business activity led to imperialism.
Generally speaking, Burmese never accepted British rule, so when annexation was announced in 1886, the armed uprisings began. The British responded to the situation by burning down the villages and executing who they saw as rebels. However, the uprisings in some areas continued until 1895. At the turn of the 20th century, the resistance now took a new form. In town and city, the new urban elite attributed British Gulf to assert a distinctive Burmese cultural identity. Later on, in 1906, this group united to form a Young Men's Buddhist Association, or YMBA for short. Although they were religious organizations, the real objective for them and its successor called the General Council of Burmese Associations, or GCBA, was the greater self-government for Burma. Then in 1921, the British responded to such by introducing a decade of political reform, with providing for greater Burmese involvement in the central legislature and also at the provincial level. Anyway, it now satisfied the national elite, so the activists established the Village Revenue Nationalist organizations, which boycott government officials and support persons who refuse to pay tax and rent. Younger Buddhist monks also became politically active. From that situation, the tension still increased during the 1930s. At the same time, the worldwide depression also hit Burmese, so rights covered hard, that is, despite the British government and money letters from India. Orwell expressed this atmosphere in shooting an elephant. He described the strong anti-European feeling amongst the people of Momen, especially the young men, who seemed to have nothing to do except stand on street corners and jeer at Europeans. He described the tensions between Burmese and European at Montling in Burmese days, in which a British man is killed after helping a peasant rebellion, and the tensions culminate in a riot.
George Orwell works as the police officer of Moulmein, which is the town in the British colony of Burma. He is a military occupier who hated by much of the village. Though the Burmese never staged a full revolt, they expressed their disgust by harassing Europeans at every opportunity. During a soccer game between the Burmese and the Europeans, the Buddhist priest looked down on the European on the street. These situations made him realize two things. First, they strongly support his idea that imperialism was evil. Yet, it also inspired a hatred of antagonism between the European imperialists and their native subjects. These two things also answer Orwell's question why the Buddhist priest hate living under European rule. He finds himself in the middle between hatred of the empire and his rage against the evil spirit little beast who tried to make his job possible. One day, Orwell receives a call from another policeman. He informed Orwell that a rogue elephant has been causing a problem in the town. While on the way, the locals explain that the elephant is not tame. It has an attack with a tame elephant, held in chains, break their restraints, and goes berserk. The Burmese have been unable to restrain the elephants. Its mahound or handler persuades it in wrong direction. It takes about 12 hours. The elephant destroyed both in public and private property and killed many daily cattle. Orwell goes to the elephant's last spot, which is the town of the poor. He saw a lubber die in the mud by the tame elephant. Finally, he decided to shoot an elephant. After that, he looked back at the crowd behind him. It has swelled over 2,000 people, all of whom are excitedly expecting to see the death of the elephant. He feels as a magician who makes the audience enjoy and happy with his entertainment. When he looked at the crowd, he realized that his authority over the locals is a hollow sort of power. He also realized that the imperialists cannot do anything other than what the Burmese expected him to do. He reflected, when the white man turns tyrant, it is his own freedom that he destroys. That he admitted to killing an elephant the moment he ordered that he be brought a rope. He entertains the possibility of doing nothing and letting the elephant live, but this makes the crowd laugh at him. He thinks his duty as a colonist cannot be laughed at. The elephant is lying on the ground and breathing laboriously by Orwell's third bullet. After the elephant's breathing countless times, he fires his head and follows with his body. He told the Burmese that the elephant would die in a half hour. Orwell's reactions make an Indian, the owner of the elephant, angry. However, an Indian is unable to ask for help. Nevertheless, older British strongly agree with Orwell's choice, but younger colonists thought it was not good to kill the elephant. Orwell knows that he is so lucky the elephant killed the man because it gave his own actions a legal excuse. Finally, Orwell doubts if any of his comrades understood that he killed the elephant solely to avoid looking like a fool.
In this story, George Orwell writes about his personal experience with the elephant and how metaphorical the experience is to imperialism and his views on matter. The beginning of the essay started with cloudy, stuffy morning at the beginning of brains. This turns his tone of speech to be weak and discomforting. The fact that his character to Burmese views is weak when he introduces himself to them, as can be seen how they laugh and mock him, the British officer. Moreover, the elephant is a metaphor itself that shows the devastating power of imperialism. The elephant destroying home, food shelves, fearlessly, and even killing a man whom Orwell described to have an expression of unendurable torture. "I knew with perfect certainty that I ought not to shoot him," said Orwell. "But when he looks around and sees the huge mass of people are looking at him, he changes his stance to, 'But I did not want to shoot an elephant,' he repeatedly states. How immoral and guilty to shoot that elephant, regardless of many reasons to not shoot the elephant, like how it is worth more than a life rather than dead. He suddenly falls into the expectations of the Burmese people. Orwell ultimately kills the elephant and uses the death of the elephant as another metaphor for British imperialism in Burma. That is, Burma is a free kingdom until British expansion came in.
After exploring the book, many readers would wonder about the implication of its famous quote, "When the white man turns tyrant, it is his own freedom that he destroys." As the story represents the downsides of British imperialism, Orwell, an imperial police officer in Burma, is called to assist the locals from a wild, aggressive elephant. He thought the elephant would be worth more than its body, which contributes to his reluctance or decisiveness in terminating the elephant's life. Although shooting the elephant goes against his will, he has to do so because of the expectation and pressure from society. Additionally, it insists that Orwell is unable to stand up for his own independence and feelings towards his action. As he states, "When the white man turns tyrant, it is his own freedom that he destroys." Moreover, Orwell himself possessing a gun refers to the white man turns tyrant as it suggests authoritativeness.
There is something you must see.
Undeniably, the aforementioned point emphasizes another perspective of British imperialism, that the British has to loot its own freedom in some ways. Ultimately, this highlights how terrible and ruthless British imperialism is to everyone, including those in positions of power. This is pretty much about the voices of dissent and George Orwell's Shooting the Elephant. We hope you find this video useful and interesting, and we're looking forward to seeing you soon. Thank you so much for listening.